So here we are recording. So yes, hi, my name is Tammy Gomez, and I'm the host and founder of the Dando Poetry series. And tonight, October 16th, 2021, is marks the 12th time that I've arrived here in the Zoom space with amazing writers and friends and fellow lovers of creative use of is languages to meet once a month and speak poetry to a theme. This month, the theme is Dando de Comer, which it occurred to me a month ago. Like, oh, I haven't used that one yet because I've been like squeezing the lemon, like a little more juice. Dando oportunidad, dando paz, dando gracias. And then I'm like, I don't have any more dandos left.
Yeah.
So hence next month in November, which will start the new year, we're going to add some extra syllables to keep this thing, to put more juice in the lemon. So it's going to be recordando. So we're going to add recor to dando. So then it'll be remembering and then fill in the blank. Recordando Fred Rouse. Recordando tus antepasados. Recordando whatever, remembering something or honoring, memorializing something. So the series will continue maybe for, we'll see if it lasts another year. It depends on how we feel about even bothering to be in Zoom meetings on a Saturday night once a month. Maybe some of us feel a little burnt out or unchallenged by this kind of offering and want something, a different kind of challenge, like negotiating bad drivers on the streets or being out there risking COVID with folks who are deniers todavía. We have some featured poets, and uh, three of the four are here in the space now. Thank you for being here. And I'm hoping that Pilar can arrive. She had some mechanical issues with her car, and she said she'd be a little bit late. And I told her not to worry. I try not to worry at all about this because this is a effort of the heart and of kinship building, and so I don't have to answer to funders in terms of numbers or filling out reports. So that's kind of a blessing because if I push because I want this to be a pleasurable, momentous experience for folks, so they have memories and good thoughts and feelings about being here. But I don't have to reach a certain tally of it, in terms of attendance or number of poems that are read or how many of us have won awards and fellowships and stuff. That's very wonderful to have, but for me, it's about building kinship and creating a celebratory spirit around the use of language creatively with instrumentation, as Ramsey has done in the past, playing guitar or a cappella, or just speaking softly, reading prose poetry, whatever you think is poetry, and in many cases, writing and reading pieces to the theme. So unless you have any questions, does anybody have a burning desire to ask me a question?
What are you hoping to hear about? What do you think, Dando Momita? What are you expecting that to inspire among us?
Just a sense of how we've nourished ourselves. If there's an interest in people sharing recipes or showing, what they ate for dinner. I mean, all I could muster right now because I got home late was these potato crisps. So I'll talk a little bit about these later. But yeah, it's about how people respond to a theme and how creatively and inventively folks accept that challenge. And it's not like a competition, like let's see who can be the weirdest and strangest presenter here in the forum, but what speaks to you in the moment, what satisfies your gumption, because we are still a bit lonely and a bit separate and isolated during these times. And I feel like I trust folks who arrive here, and I try to engender that spirit, feeling of trust. I also would like to see some metaphorical references to feeding our hungers and sustaining our hungers and getting fed or feeding ourselves, like sexy poems, or, I have one that I couldn't find that I wanted to read, and it's a very short acronym on the word acrostic poem. That's what I mean. Acrostic poem on the word bread, which I wrote in the 90s, BREAD. And I just imagine, and I'll just describe it to you since I don't have the poem. I can't find it. BREAD. And it says, before you rise in the oven, breathe in the hot air, expand yourself forward as the oil sweats through your pores in anticipation, something like that. And all the while I'm thinking about a loaf of challah bread, which I love. I love challah, and I rarely have challah. But it's kind of a sexy poem too. And I love that it can, feed two, address two kinds of desires in one poem.
Yeah.
So that's my answer to Ramsey's question, which caused Richard to run away to the closet.
I'm going to change what I might read. Maybe.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, I'm going to launch, if you're okay, Priscilla, is it okay if I read a little bit here?
Como quieras, Tammy, I'm whatever you want.
Okay, am I loud enough? Because I don't want to yell my poetry. Yes. Okay, this one is a pantoum, or my attempt, it's even in the title, attempt at Dharma Pantoum 3, my third attempt. When I met Trungpa, it was via book. I prevailed to place new rungs upon my ladder. I picked fights with inner storms that shook my clinging ways that had merely made me sadder. I prevailed to place new rungs upon my ladder after watching monks mandala build by hand. My clinging ways that had merely made me sadder became dispersed at last like tiny grains of sand. After watching monks mandala build by hand, the steamed Tibetan momos we were eating became dispersed at last like tiny grains of sand. Another way to see how things in life are fleeting. The steamed Tibetan momos we were eating were cooked by someone who only had one hand. Another way to see how things in life are fleeting. I let go, become detached, more acceptance and less demand.
That's beautiful.
So you repurpose lines from your from like the first section, the first verse, and they get reordered, and I don't remember the math of it, but it's an interesting challenge, and I wish I would take more time to try to master the form, but it's a beautiful form.
It's really, I find it very hard. That was beautiful.
Thank you. And yes, the best Tibetan momos I had in Kathmandu were made by a mother who only had one hand, and they were absolutely scrumptious. So the next piece I'll read is, I think I'll read some, oh, here's the new one. You look like you enjoy your meals. This was said to me when I was Campfire Girls in about 4th grade, and I was the brownest, shortest, and chubbiest member of the Campfire Girl troupe that I belonged to. And when we entered the home where we were going to be having our meeting one afternoon, the grandma happened to be in town, and the grandma was sitting on the couch, and the grandma was making comments as we passed by her, as if she was the Queen of England and had to make remarks about each of us. And so what she said to me is the title of the piece. You look like you enjoy your meals. You look like you enjoy your meals, said bony, skeletal white grandma to me in a receiving line of scrutiny past her cushioned couch judging station. Alone today, yesterday, and 100 days before that, there is no waggling, wrinkled finger in my face, unclucked tremor in my throat to keep me from swallowing recipe bliss, the wanton wontons on undelivered plates served laptop side to suit the Ozu movie of the moment.
I hate that lady. Who is that lady?
Oh, girl, she did.
Pinche vieja. Can I say that?
Oh, girl, she did. Don't worry. Don't even worry.
You're gonna outlive
She
her for
did.
sure.
Yeah, that was easy, but there are some being mean to me that are still running the
Mm.
streets even tonight, and that's, you know, that's okay. They will meet their maker or makers in some way, form and fashion. Okay, so I started this piece. I have no idea what it is because I haven't looked at this in a long time. I started it on June 30th last year. No, it's not a poem. It's notes. It's notes for a poem. Never mind. I'm not reading that. You know how it is when you open up a Word file.
Do you take requests, Tammy?
Okay. Okay.
Would you take a request?
Oh, maybe in a moment. I mean, does it relate to food or not food? What is it?
Unattractive pie?
Oh, yeah, that one. That would have been great if I can find it. I didn't call that file up. You know how you have to do that. I've got like 7 or 10 Word files. But yeah, that's that. Yeah, totally. That would be in this domain. Okay, I started this several years ago, and I decided to fix it up and finish it last year. There is a slight reference to food in it, so wait for that. Please use your privilege for good. Please use your privilege for good. Take some time away from the Netflix and the sports bars, craft beer, and Tinder to help someone whose last meal was a handout and last bed was a street. You could come back to your conveniences and air conditioning and full tanked vacation road trips in a little while, but for now, do the risky, the unheard of, the unprecedented. Do it for your integrity. Do it for another human. Do it together without knowing one another's names, without having to suffer in your connection. The comfort of your privilege is waiting for you. It will be there. The pedigreed puppy who makes you laugh every morning, the perfectly chilled vanilla yogurt sorbet breakfast, the job with the well padded benefit package. None of that leaves you. It will still be there. But for now, stand up. Call out a criminal against humanity. Climb an iconic statue, like the Statue of Liberty, to make sure it lights the way home. Bring your power, your relative status and prestige to bear good fruit, to raise awareness and hopes high. Show your mental and financial muscle in spaces where you can take down inequities and state violence. Bring your citizenship to the match. You are homegrown equipped in the face of document demanding thugs with badges. Use it or lose it. Bring your privilege to the game, the fight of our lives, for our futures, or lose it for all of us. The weakest, the most vulnerable, the lonely and afflicted, the demonized and discarded, and possibly for you yourself. And I'll read one more and I'll take a breather. This one was written on May 1st, 2020, and the governor had just made a pronouncement that day to open things up. So this is a version of it. Our Texas governor has just reserved a table at a full-service restaurant today. Yes, a table for 29 million, please. And anywhere will do, but you know what? Go ahead and put us on the patio so my people can enjoy their last clean breaths here in the days of the pandemic. And though he is anathema to safety and health, there's thunderous applause for every last exhalation from his craven double-speak throat as he promises economic rebound, as we are told to choose as we like, from gluttony to greed, hot deadly sins on the menu meant to quell our hunger, it seems. Don't worry about it, he exhorts. It's on me. Get what you want, but it's all on me. And despite the lack of trust and the lack of tests, We lean in to pull out bibs and forks while blinking uncertainly at one another over homemade fabric masks covering pursed lips that have never been quite this starved for better options not being served today. Sad but true.
You said it.
Okay, so that I just sped through like a handful of pieces, and I have maybe a handful I can share later. Welcome, Brian, to the space. Welcome, comma, Brian, comma, to the space.
Hey,
I'll just
Randy, nice to see you. And all
quickly
of
about
you.
these. All of us, yes. These potato crisps were given to me by my mom. She frequents a lot of food pantries at churches and other community centers. And this, it's a knockoff of the famous Pringles brand, but this is has no artificial flavors or synthetic colors and no trans fat. And I like them. They're better than the storied, historied, and famous Pringles. And I love that my mom gives me good stuff, good junk stuff.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. We have some other poets in the house, and I want to, since Richard, you arrived first, you're probably the most warmed up. Would you mind reading next?
Brian? No, except that I'm not quite sure which to read. I chose through, so I didn't even quite realize that I don't tend to write poems about particular food items. I know someone who does, but anyway, but I do occasionally write about eating or the ceremony. I also want to say, Tammy, that I really enjoyed hearing you read, and I want to tell everybody, Tammy just agreed to read a reading of mine in mid-November. So, and that'll be a fun one because, I mean, it's sort of a book release for me, but I just wanted people from all around the country. So I'm having someone from Chicago, New York, you in Texas, Los Angeles, and someone from the Pacific Northwest. And I love that idea, like specific. It's not going to be an open, just like all around people from all around the country.
Cool.
But letting Zoom what it does best.
I'll share the link. If you don't mind, I'll tell people about the reading if it's open to others.
Well, it's open for people.
Attending.
I'd love for people to come. It's not set up yet, but it will be. Yeah, please share it. Yeah. There's an earlier one set up. Anyway, that doesn't matter. You know,
Richard, if you want to read the pieces you're sure about now and then decide later about others.
I'm going to read the one that came to mind because you said, because this is about, it's about nurturing, and that just seems good. So I have this really strange book. It came out in 2005. I need to explain it, and it's called Poems for Teeth. And yes, those are messed up photoshopped x-rays on the front. And I wrote a poem for each tooth in my mouth. And this book kind of drives some people crazy, but I love it, and I occasionally go back to it. And each tooth is really, it's not about teeth so much, but it's about different aspects of human experience. So as it turns out, the lower right second incisor, which I don't think I have anymore, is the tooth of nurturing. And so I'm going to read the tooth of nurturing, and here's the piece of artwork that goes with it for some reason. See how I don't know how.
Did you do that art?
I did this one. The book has a piece of art, calligraphy art for each poem, and about half of them I did, and half this friend of mine who's a Abex painter, I guess, in upstate New York, did the other half. We sat at a table with inks and brushes for a couple of days, making squiggles that reminded us of teeth. And then I put them together with all the poems. Anyway, Tooth of Nurturing. Plant and weave, scent of soil, scent of thread. The hand that looms and sifts the loam will settle lightly on your head. The hand plants seeds as it has for centuries. This is not a new tale, but a compelling one, yes, for in it lies your flesh. It is not the motion, dig and turn, furrow and drop, that is the planting, scratch and cleave, hollow and spill, but the measure of seed and soil with the eye, with the hand, an acuity of every sense, the sifting, the holding, not the motion, but the measure, rapidly, rapidly, in the parting touch of fingers, instilling, releasing, almost a caressing snap, tasting, delving, in the knowledge of the flesh. The earth is ripe, the furrow fresh, the seed receives its kind. 26, I forgot to tell you, and this is a little long, has a bunch of parts. 26 is the number of the tooth, but it's also the name of the character in the poem. Okay, so that was the planting part. The 26 steps outside and sinks into a womb. The hand weaves strands of sand, of silk, of spectacle, with pigment from the living mouth. The meat of cells, heat of the brain, patiently breathing tones to shelter, brighten the difficult day with a simple tug of fiber, slide of wool, motion of the mind looming actively, a spool springing anima to a hook threading potent to an eye meshing a calm rill in a sheet of fine. The fabric stretches out, spills across the room in waves, bounding ages and causeways, leasing into flesh the wind of ancestors, erudition, twining history to a cloak, memory to a tapestry, a woven cask, a wicker mat, a quilt of handshakes, dawnings, broken dreams, fields of passion, sharp mementos, aspirations, stone retreats, and songs to soothe the bitter wind. 26 wraps the world in flesh, wraps flesh in the world. The hand plants teeth as reminders, as remedial, an ancient custom, founding, fundamental, a pruning of sorts, to loose the pannier of loss and prime the loam for tendrils of a new receive, to cultivate a life regained. Bone goes to earth under biding mounds, shaped and released. A year recedes, churning, dreaming, and hillocks turn to heartbeats, liminal, thrumming, calling sparrows and mice to burrow, to nest, a refuge secured to bring seeds to perform, and a forest is born, flourishing, burgeoning, full of bird call. 26 puts in the ground just what needs to return. The hand weaves sounds to lift the heart from clay, to barn dance with the loving throng that tumbles from the molten shale and into the crucible of fusion and decay, to resonate the chambers of the marl. Music slides off her fingers like rain, soaking the nerves with a salve of soil, the globe itself freshening the blood through her fingers, a salient stream of nutrient. You stand planted in a newfound wood, breathing in the musk of green and bark. The golden sun drips on your face and grass grows through your feet. A pattern of leaves flutters right through you. Step out into the day. 26 is so in love, her face comes off. The body plants, the body weaves, scent of marrow, scent of song. The arms that lift and shuttle you will bring the living world along. It's Tooth of Nurturing. I haven't read that in a long time.
That's stunning. Oh my gosh, absolutely stunning.
Which are
Wow,
pretty. Yeah, they're a little psychedelic. I don't know, but
dude, I love that line. 26 is so in love, her face comes off.
have you ever experienced that? 'Cause
That's brilliant.
I have, but it's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Eventually, I've had my heart broken too many times. Should I read another, or should I pass the baton? I have a couple others I chose that are a little different than that. How about
No,
I?
let's come back to you. Let's come back to you a little bit later, so we can. I want to savor those pieces with your voice in my
That's
memory.
fine. Yeah.
It reminds me, I was at the post office a few days ago, and I noticed these things on the ground and around a tree, and they look like somebody had thrown pieces of pumpkin. They were mushrooms. They were huge orange mushrooms, and I haven't been back. I haven't had a chance to go back and take photographs, but they were huge, orange, like the color behind me right here.
Yeah.
So anyway, your poem brought that memory back to me of the mushrooms I saw.
Thanks for giving me a chance to read that. There's
Yeah.
like 30 couple books in this poems in this book, and I almost never open it anymore.
Is
What's the
that
name?
one for?
Sorry. What was the name of it again? Sorry.
Of the book,
No, of the poem.
the poem is Tooth of Nurturing. Each of the poems is tooth of something. So there's a, sorry, I might as well show. This is the table of contents.
Woohoo!
And when I started working on this, I mean, I had all kinds of teeth problems like so many people do. And I needed a lot of work and I didn't have any money at all. And I thought maybe I should write a poem, a little tiny silly poem to each tooth and make a little chapbook. And instead of like giving it away or selling it for $3, I'll say, can you give me $10 towards fixing my teeth? But I started writing them and it was like a release of all this pain and shit that I've been through. And they, instead of like little tiny things, they turned into like 5-page poems, some of which are really anglished and some of which are really celebratory, like that one. And inside of them, there are these little poems that are in italics, kind of like a cavity that are sort of like what the original idea would have been, like that one at the beginning and the end. And some of them are sung, but yeah, so I figured, eventually I figured this out. Since we had 4 wisdom teeth, I would give us also 4 teeth of instinct to balance that. And then every one of the other teeth is something else, tooth of alert, of empathy, of rebellion, of naivete, tooth of masks, curiously enough, tooth of addiction, etc. There's a whole bunch of them. And then a few others about different things. So anyway,
These assignments of qualities to those particular teeth, is that something that's that comes out of some tradition?
No,
Or is
I made it up.
this is the Loringer tradition?
I just made it up.
Okay.
Richard, are copies of that book still available?
Yeah, I mean, I know on Amazon and maybe from We Press, the press that it's from, but they keep moving around and I know you can get some on Amazon.
Do you mind typing or copying the link for how one can order that book?
Sure. I have to look it up, but I can do that while you're talking. And here's Pilar.
Hi, Pilar.
I'll mute.
How are you? ¿Cómo estás? Your car made it? Tienes que aprender tu microphone.
Up there, out here. We had to tow the car. I just took it. Well, after service, I took it for, getting things fixed and maybe it made things worse. I don't know. You know, it's an old car, and maybe I shouldn't have touched it. It says, "Oh, there's this light. You should check what it is." And it was. We went to a place, start the car. We decided to go and get something to eat before coming home, and then when we wanted to start the car again, it kind of does this like. So I think it's the alternator. Alternator.
Oh
I
no.
don't know anything about. I don't know. I just by the sound. But anyway, so we're here. But it's like stressing. I just spent a lot of money on that car.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Hopefully we can help de-stress you a little bit.
Good. Yeah.
Little
Go
bit.
ahead. Go on.
Yeah. So Pilar is joining us from Tijuana, and we met in Santa Fe years ago in the late 80s.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was really magical. And then you left. You moved back to Mexico. So then I became friends with Liliana,
Hmm.
who stayed in the US. So now,
In
I see
Austin.
her more in Austin. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's been like that, the distance only. Yeah, we never coincided again.
No, we wanted to. We wanted to do some
Oh,
collaborations.
well, I collaborated in the dress.
Yes, which
Yeah.
hopefully Priscilla and Pilar, y'all are both in that book, dress codes, and we're hoping to get it out like this year or this year or next year, early next year. We really apologize. It's just been a lot of setbacks with our health and family issues and
Life.
things like that. You know, and with this project, we decided no woman or girl would be hurt in the making of this project, meaning if we needed to take a break, if we needed to put it down so we could focus on a mother who had cancer or something like that, that we would do that. So that's why it's taken us so long to get it together. But we're very excited to show it when it does come out. Pilar, I think Richard put a note in the chat for you because he's in
Oh,
Oakland. So
sorry, I
he
didn't
says
see the.
that he's the closest geographically, he's the closest to you, ahorita.
Okay. Where are you at? Where is everybody else?
¿Quieren decir?
I'm in
¿Dónde
Mobile,
están?
Alabama.
And I'm here in Fort Worth with Tammy or near Tammy.
Okay. And
No.
Priscilla.
And I'm in Southeast Dallas, Pleasant Grove area.
Okay. So where are you, Richard? Okay. Where are you?
I'm in Oakland, California,
Oh,
Bay
in
Area.
Oakland. Okay, okay.
Hmm. Could practically throw a stone and hit my
Oh
apartment.
yeah.
You should come by for lunch.
across the board, across the muro. I know it sounds so close.
Just to let you know, Pilar, we are recording now.
Mhm.
I like to document each session and then eventually they will be put on YouTube.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you notice
Yeah.
about that.
Good.
And of course we can say whatever we want to say. There's no censorship in effect here.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
I like we just heard from Richard Loringer, amazing poems about teeth. And next I'd like to invite Ramsey if you're in a place to share. Ramsey Sprague, a dear friend of mine. And can't wait to hear you.
Yeah, so I was just gonna read this piece that I wrote. It reflects on this time of year. What is the time of year that in my head is when the air conditioners can turn off and you can hear things for the first time, like you start to hear things. So that's kind of where this piece comes from. It's called Finally. I can finally hear dogs barking again. I hear cars moving. I hear trains howling in the wind. Life sprouts within my sensory perception as responsibility, droopy eyes, and pouty lips is its war on this, my privileged meditations. I'm silent, but my location speaks volumes, and a cool, curious air beckons me now both to climb mountains and curl into caves of cloth with tender longing. This choice is a tireless master, and I'm occasionally brought to rapid boil by its heat. My foamy former contents then finally liberated. Soon carbonized, they'll easily flake off the emotional range upon which I simmer. I checked. I'm ready to be devoured. In moments like this, I just close my eyes and let my dreams begin to surmise. Thanks.
Ooh wee, ooh wee. My challah bread and your caves of blankets.
Encore.
Ah, yeah. You got another?
Yeah, I can read another short one.
Please do, please do.
This one's gone through a lot of changes, subtle changes. It's been the same for a really long time. It's now called Smells Like Popcorn. When the pattern ends, my soul begins and consciousness zens. All things can feel, and that's a big deal. Energy is real. I spend my days exploring how this consciousness enters my now and what that means for all these scenes of power dreams and misery. Believe it or not, this is a spot where I have slowed my rot. At least in our lifetimes, I'll be here defying, living alive in rhymes and laughing and dreaming in rhythms and chords, because I was sworn to mourn and make fresh popcorn.
Making me hungry.
Ah, nice. There is nothing quite like the smell of popcorn. Yes, need popcorn now. I want to mention real quickly that my mom and I went to see in a movie theater, and there were only five women, five mujeres in the movie theater auditorium to see Blue Bayou, which I highly recommend. And it's a very dramatic film, and in the end, there's the pinnacle at the height of its emotional power. My mother threw up. She threw up, and in a shirt. She had an extra shirt she'd taken inside with her because it got, if it got cold. So she, she caught everything in the shirt. She blames the upheaval on the popcorn, but I think it's because of the dramatic moment. The dramatic moment of what we just saw. It was so powerful. And thank you, Priscilla. I love stories of your mom. And I'm not gonna mention this to my mom, but the last time she got nauseous in a movie theater with me, it was watching a movie at a film festival like here in Fort Worth, and it turned out to be a lesbian love story. And during the first real intimate, physical intimate scene, she leaned over. She says, "I'm not feeling that good. I think I have to go. I think it's that soda you gave me." It's like my mom will not own up to her emotional inner workings, you know. I'm like, "Mom, I get it. This was a little too much for you." Catholic mom. So yeah, we had to leave early. I did not get to see the end of that movie. I'm trying to get my mother to write, and she does write. My mother writes a lot in her own way, um, Priscilla. So she's always jotting down her stories and journaling. So I'm happy she does that. Ramsey, do you want to stop there, or do you have a song maybe? Not feeling it or feeling it?
Well, these are all songs in reality, but
Ah,
the only one, the only other one that I brought, I was looking for others, and I'm sure that I do have others, but this is one that I wanted to do, and it's longer, so later maybe.
oh, good, good, good. Yeah, save up some energy for that one. Sure. Ah, yes. So, we feeling okay? Do folks want to get up and stretch their legs? Um, I'm feeling pretty good considering.
Feeling
Super,
good, feeling
super
good.
content here. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And Brian, if you want to jump in with some work, I mean, there'll be some time if you happen to have a piece or two that I just want to welcome you to also share if you have some work to share. Priscilla, I'd love to invite you next if you don't mind being the next deer in headlights. Just kidding.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Of course.
I've been writing a lot about ancestors and about family, and I feel this need, especially like during the pandemic, as you know, we've been losing los grandes se van, all the greats, it seems like are leaving us, and I'm trying to hold on to these thoughts and memories, as people leave. So so I've been writing a lot about ancestors and family, and just realizing we're not immortal. Of course, something I knew all along, but it's just, I don't know, it seems more real now. So all that to say, I was reflecting, I was like, what do I want to share today? And I was thinking about somebody that I've never written about, but I deeply love, who was like familia to me. My babysitter, when I was a kid, who was like familia. It's weird to call her babysitter because she was more like a tia, or a grandmother. Her name was Jesucita Hernandez. So this is a work in progress. I'm just writing about her. So I would like to share this piece that I've titled Frijoles con tortillitas, beans with tortillas. Jesucita Hernandez, presente, or Doña Chita, as we called her, with her long silver hair she would braid hanging on both sides of her head like columpios, with ribbons she would find here and there, and bobby pins that never matched her silver hair. Her eyes with wrinkles around them, but when she smiled, it was as if a child was looking at you. She wore house dresses and pantuflas, sometimes blue with florecitas or pink with florecitas, but the purple one was my favorite. And every day, cada día after school, you could smell the fresh pot of frijoles and the corn tortillas on the comal. Señora Chita always had tortillas fresh from the comal and frijolitos con queso. At my request, I liked queso with everything, and I still do. She would call my brother Papacito Blanco. I don't know how I remember that, but I do. And she always called me La Reina. Chita loved us both the same, but she and my brother had a special bond. She had him so chiflado, just spoiled, mimado. I mean, that gordito could do anything he wanted and get away with it. He had the face of an angelito and the character of a little demonio, a trickster. He still does. And I, the dreamer who sat on her old-fashioned 1950 style table with the blue plastic tablecloth, the kind that sticks to your elbows, while watching El Chavo del Ocho and Cepillín on TV. Even then, English was not my favorite language, and neither was it Chita's. I don't even think she ever spoke English. I'm not sure about that. Although her daughter Letty spoke to us in English. Chita would let us roll down the hill in the back of her house, getting thorns and espinas tucked to our blue jeans or legs, depending on what time of the year it was. She lived in the housing authority side of town. It never occurred to me that Chita was poor. She was the richest person I knew. She taught us what berries we were allowed to eat from trees and which ones were not poisonous, and played hide and seek with us. She had the patience to comb and braid my long, thick hair, a patience that not even my own mother had. And she had all these colors and fotografias all over the wall. If Chita wasn't rich, she sure was magic. She used to let all the neighbor kids come play with me and my bratty brother, La Cindy, y Gerardo, Velma, y El Kelly, y Adrian. Chita fed us, nurtured us, and gave us a safe place just to be kids. She created a magical space that I still return to in my mind as an adult. My grandma Petra, my grandpa Luis would sometimes stop by Doña Chita's house to drop off hot plates of food like carnita with calabacitas or some caldo de res with arroz, a small offering to show gratitude for the love that Doña Chita showed to their grandchildren, that we were not her grandchildren. My grandparents knew that they could never repay her in this lifetime for what she gave me and my brother. The day Chita stopped taking care of us was the hardest day of my little girl life. My brother and I cried for days. We gave future caregivers a hard time. There was only one for us, Doña Jesusita Hernandez with the braided silver hair. My brother and I constantly asked my mom to take us to see her. Please, Mom. El pobrecito de mi hermano even ran away from home to get to her house. We found him safely, of course, in front of Johnny Bonilla's house, which was the day their long friendship started. My brother had ended up in Johnny's front yard as he was trying to find his way to Chita's house. He was in elementary school. How crazy is that? Chita never stopped loving us, and we never stopped loving Chita. I can't even mention her name to my brother. In this life, when we reflect of all the people that truly loved us unconditionally, flaws and all, Doña Chita is at the top of my list.
Oh, oh my God. For a work in progress, there's a lot of progress in that. Oh, it's so beautiful. I
Thank
love that you're
you.
doing that, Priscilla, to honor these people while you have the strong memories in, flourishing in your mind about them.
Thank you. She
Aw.
made our childhood very happy. She really gave everything that she had, and we found out, I found out in talking to her daughter recently passed. Her daughter Letty recently passed, but she would tell me, she's like, my mom would kept pictures of you and your brother, and she would always say how much she loved you all. Like, she never forgot about us, and we never forgot about her. So yeah.
Oh, incredible. And she's still alive?
No,
Todavía?
Chita passed. She passed some years ago. Yeah. She lived to be close to 100. Like, she lived a long time, because she was already elderly when she was taking care of us. I'm like, man, she had the what do you call it? The energy to take care of 2 little kids, but she did. She kept up with us. So.
Oh, thank you. That was beautiful.
Thank
Do you
you.
have another?
I have another, but it's super short and it's totally not even close. It's a totally different topic.
Are you in the mood?
Sure,
Are you in the
sure.
mood to switch? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's super short. It's called, a ver. Secrets and kisses, el corazón in darkness, underneath blankets, our legs entwined, a mess como un boa constrictor, but somehow fits like a Dalí painting. Listening to your heartbeat, el latido de tu corazón as I lay on your chest, y acaricias mi melena, my hair that you sometimes pull, as you whisper sweet veneno in my ears, and you feed me these mentiras I eat like daggers, y mi alma sangrienta. I didn't know my dinner was my own blood.
What? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm not even going to ask, Priscilla. I'm not even going to ask. I'm going to tell you, you are going to read that to us again.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
A little bit slow, a little bit slower.
I was reading too
Like,
fast because I was like trying to get through it. I was like,
no, please, please, encore,
Okay.
encore.
Okay, I'm gonna read it slower. I got a little embarrassed, pero bueno, okay, aquí les va.
Está bien.
Secretos, secrets and kisses del corazón in darkness, underneath blankets, our legs entwined, a mess, como un boa constrictor, but somehow fits like a Dalí painting, listening to your heartbeat, el latido de tu corazón, as I lay on your chest, y acaricias mi melena, my hair, that you sometimes pull, and you whisper sweet veneno in my ears, and you feed me these mentiras I eat like daggers, y mi alma sangrienta, I didn't know my dinner was my own blood.
What? Oh my God. That is so rich. Oh my gosh. Snap, snap, snap. Do you have that published? Have you published any of your poetry?
No, I need to do better and submit. So, you've been giving me ánimo. I need to be more disciplined and just be disciplined and actually take the time to submit. Tamitha was telling me you need to do it on Sundays and be intentional about it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So
Yeah, that was I love that thank you for all the moods you bring. Thank you.
I'm curious about the Sunday thing. Why must you do it on Sundays?
I don't know. I guess she figured, I don't know, she just use it as an example, like set a day, and be intentional about it and be disciplined. And I was like, okay, you're right. So she said something like submission Sundays. I'm putting Tamitha on blast, but I love Tamitha.
You not only put her on blast, but you summoned her because girlfriend, she's here right now.
Tamitha, I was talking about you, girl, in a good way, of course.
Wow.
Now you can't talk behind her back because she's here. Hola, Tamitha. Thank you for arriving.
Thanks
to
for
be with
letting
us.
me in. I just hopped from La Bruja.
How was
Back in the-
that?
It was good. It was good.
Oh, good.
She spit some bars for us at the beginning and the end, so it was nice. And then there's lots of different types of readings. I don't know. I felt like I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Dando, and then, so I started there and thought maybe I would just hop over here and say hi.
Wow, girl, you are jet setting all over the poetry virtual world. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a open mic reading that happened as part of that National Writers Gathering that I helped program, and it was Caridad de la Luz, aka La Bruja. She's involved with the New York Poets Cafe in Nueva York. So I did reach out to her to recruit her to host, and I'm glad it went well. I'm very glad to hear that.
It was good, and the Tias gave you a pintufla earlier too. You weren't there, but I imagine you're preparing for this. I just wanted you to know you got a pintufla.
Well, I was A, taking a nap, and B, trying to get to the dollar store before this reading started, and I got knocked over by a moving vehicle. I mean, chotas, ambulance, they all came out because I was laid out on the concrete, and these guys did not even care.
So that was
My bike.
today. You told me.
Yeah, that was
That was
that
today,
was
Tammy?
that was 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago.
Uh-uh.
And I landed on my frozen shoulder, which maybe Brian, maybe they cured me because it feels okay now.
Wow.
I mean, I shouldn't be landing because I could be dead. These guys did not care.
Is your bike
yeah,
okay?
it was. Yeah, it's a trek. It's okay. And there was even a bicyclist guy on that street. A lot of friendly people came out to check out what was going on. And my friend Mahute and Elaine live 2 doors down, so they came over and were hugging me. And then the chotas came out, with their snuff in their lip. You know how the Texas they got her snuff in their lip. Can you believe it? That's so unprofessional. These guys had Copenhagen in their mouths, like, what's the work date, man? Or do you think you want to go in the ambulance to the hospital? I'm like, oh my God, are y'all acting or what? So yeah, it was 2 Chicanx males in a black car. I got the first 3 letters of the license plate, gave that to the cop. They were just stopped in front of a house, and when I was biking towards where they were, they started moving towards me, and I thought, well, I'm here, I'm already moving, but they should stop. And no, they kept moving towards me, and they would have hit my whole body if I hadn't just veered to the left slightly. They hit my bike. My front tire turned all the way back, and I went boom, and somehow I landed on this shoulder. That's weird. How did that happen? Yeah, because of how I was on my bike, I guess. And they just drove off. They didn't even speed off. They just like, we're leaving. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Did they even acknowledge that they had hit you or say sorry or nada?
Nope. Nothing. No negotiation. Usually you do that with a driver. Like they see you, you see them, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'll wait. You go ahead. Or they'll say, no, you go. They weren't nothing. Like I was invisible. I couldn't believe it. They came right at me. Not fast, but still very threatening. And so yeah, that just happened. I feel sore in different places. My shoulder already had been hurting because I have that thing called frozen shoulder. And so I have limited mobility with this thing anyway. So I took my chances by not going on the ambulance with them to the hospital. But I didn't want to miss seeing y'all, because y'all make me feel better than any doctor could. Truth.
Glad you're okay.
I'm
Yeah.
very glad that I ride a trek.
How would you say that? Dando medicine.
Yeah, Dando medicine. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's my life right now. I need to actually grab another cerveza. So I'm gonna close my mic, but do you wanna, Tamitha, do you have something you might want to read eventually? Are you in the spirit to read? Because we're gonna invite Pilar to read, and Richard or Ramsey might have one more or so. I want to read a few more. So we got a plate, but not a real full plate. Pilar, do you think you'll be ready in about 4 or 5 minutes? Okay, gracias. I'm gonna go get a cerveza. Just chat among yourselves or sing.
Get some water too.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab something too. Let's all run.
Bio break.
Hi, Ramsey.
Hey, Tamitha.
I haven't seen you in a long time. I just wanted to say hi.
A really long time.
Like, I know, years and years, maybe.
Something like that, like 8
Good
years.
to see you. Yeah, it's good to see you.
Likewise.
You look good. Mhm.
Likewise. Are all the kids, are they all out of the house now?
Well, Chaz still lives with us. Our oldest is differently abled, and he lives with us. And the other 2 are living in Austin. One went to North Texas. The other, our girl, went to St. Edwards. But the middle boy, Caleb, he graduated and moved to Austin, and he has a startup, and he's also working for another startup, but he has his own. They're just kind of hoping.
Next, I'd like to introduce Pilar Rodriguez Aranda, who I met in Santa Fe in the late 80s. Oh my gosh, so many years have passed. And we've stayed in touch. And you tried to get me to go to Egypt for a poetry festival. I saw that on our message stream. And I thought, oh man, that would have been fun. I just felt a little scared about going because of the political situation going on. Did you go? Did you end up going to Egypt?
Oh, I went the very first year the festival was made. It's organized by a friend, a poet who came to Mexico for a festival and got inspired and went back to his city and got this festival started. So every year he ask they ask all the participants. We suggest people and then they decide who they invite, and they try to invite like one from, they don't repeat countries basically, so they try to have a variety of, which is interesting, but it is very difficult to go to Egypt. It's far, it's expensive, it's kind of scary, a lot of things. But the people who organize the event are they're really wonderful, and it's a really great experience. So
Can I ask, how did they receive your work? And did you present it in Spanish or English? What languages
part of
languages
what they
did you
do
read?
part of what they do in the festival is that they translate. You send 10 poems. I think they ask them in English. I think I get them in Spanish because there's a lot of there's a lot of Spanish or Arabs that live, Arab speaking writers who live in Spain and do translation. So I remember sending them in Spanish, but anyway, they translate, those who are invited, they get 10 of their poems translated into Arabic. So you read them in your original language, and then somebody reads it in Arabic. And
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
it's a really well thought, and it's beautiful to hear your own work in a language that's so foreign. So that's one of the things that I remember fondly about the festival. Now, it was interesting because I remember at some point I was checking the translation with my friend, and I think there was a little bit of censorship.
Oh,
So, and yes, there are things that they're definitely culturally very different. I just had a situation, I don't want to relate it right now, some other time, but one has to be very tolerant. Some things they're very tolerant about, but others they're not, and one tends to forget, one has to be respectful. But anyway, it's a wonderful experience. The festival, top-notch poets and very sensitive people, so hopefully they'll continue doing it. So
well, if you'd like to begin your reading, Pilar, can't wait to hear what you have for us tonight.
you.
Welcome, Pilar Rodriguez Aranda to Dando
you.
Poets.
Thank you. So when you told me about the theme, I thought about a poem I wrote a while back in 1988, but given the time, I decided for two that are way more recent. But the reason I wanted to read it is because I found interesting how certain words cannot be translated, and specifically the names for foods. Like enchiladas. I mean, we don't say, I don't know, chili something, we say enchiladas just to say. So anyway, this two themes are translation and resistance, in a way, are in my two poems. The first one is in Spanish, and also because of your invitation, I kind of found the text. I had forgotten about it in a way, and I read it. I said, well, this is fun. And I did tweak it a little bit. It's definitely a work in progress. And it's called Mamá Maíz. Maicito, alimento amarillo, alimento azul, rojo, negro, grano de oro y de sustancia, tornada en blanda masa y delgado crujir, tlaxcali y tlacoyotl, pay chileno y corn grits, esquite y arepa, salteña y pupusa, gordita y chilaquil. Tradición mística genética, fusión híbrida en concierto perfecto con el quelite, el aguacate y el chili, tortilla quemadita con la puritita sal, la tostada con marisco y con frijol molido los totopos. Al norte del Golfo se le mezcla con el trigo, la sopa de tortilla doradita, el cornbread del sur. tamales de todo el continente americano y sus rellenos, de hormiga, de verdura, de queso, de raja, de canela y de pasas. El pozole y el atole y demás soles del náhuatl olotl, la polenta italiana, el angu de Brasil, miel y epape en Sudáfrica y las palomitas de cine con parmesano, limón o levadura. Mama maíz, nacida al sur del ombligo de la luna, México lindo, eres toda fortuna. ¿Cómo no vamos a sentirte nuestra? ¿Cómo no vamos a sentirnos tuya? Cuando eres parte de la tierra que nos origina. Te extendiste y arrobaste todo el firmamento, ese que rodea nuestra planeta. Como las construcciones precolombinas, eres sin duda nuestro tabique, diseño fractal, magia, memoria que se mantuvo a pesar de la llegada del exterminio y corrupción, la peor de las herencias. Mama Maíz acabó por extenderse por toda la tierra, como también lo hizo el gran tomatl, inseparable de la pizza, del espagueti, el guiso y la ensalada, como mi vecina Lupita, que lo cultiva en su patio, con este sol de desierto y humedad salada del Pacífico. Pero igual, la tierra es ya un caldo con umami que cultiva un futuro vegano, con huertas en los closets y en las terrazas, una mora confundida entre vegetales, la berenjena salvaje de los chinos, el rojo de nuestro corazón, salsa de mis salsas para el taco de mi vida, taco de ojo, de cuero, de suadero, y ahí tú dirás, la mama maíz, corn chip, elote, galleta pastel, tamal y esquite, tesoro, lista interminable, si la revisara en toda su adaptada geografía. Nos pervivirás, nadie te puede olvidar, se te venera, maíz, mama de la tierra, semilla, raíz, flor, fruto, alimento, vida. Y así es.
Oh my
Ahí
God,
va.
the whole the menu of the world, the menu of the world.
Of
Oh
maíz,
my
yeah, I
God.
know.
Oh,
Anything.
Pilar, I'll take one of each. Por favor.
We have the menu for the
One of
whole
each.
year. So yeah, I'm fascinated with the origin of the word tortilla, and it's something that and maíz is obviously, you know, there in our mythology. So it's something that's there to be. I'm gonna go back to it, I know, but so anyway, so it just felt appropriate. And I'm
So
sure
you
even
had
if you don't speak Spanish, you caught some of them.
any comments from others?
It's just like it was just so colorful and rich and all these images I was like I can see it. I don't know, like I want to see it performed, right? I saw so much movement and color and beauty. I was like, wow. You know.
I know I need to move.
I love it. I love it.
I missed the stage. So I actually need to move for the other even more. So
Oh, great. So this, you hadn't read the poem you just shared,
it's
Mama
a working.
Maíz. You had not,
No,
Mama
it's a work in
Maíz,
progress.
you hadn't.
I mean, I
Oh,
read
okay,
it
it's a work in
today.
progress.
I read it today, choosing it, finding it. And then I'm gonna read the next one because it's related more with the pandemic maybe than with the idea of food. But it is, I think it is resistance is a form of nourishment in a way, you know, I guess. So I guess the next one, shall I go? It's called pièce de résistance, like in French, and it has a little line there that's really mine, but it's just kind of the idea. Peace is never passive, a lesson pre and post COVID-19. So it goes. I oppose like 1,000 more, and I won't give you a smile, nor will I change my utterance or sentiment. I am not for sale or hire. I oppose your tax and traffic, sex for money and money for sex. But oh, don't we love our lives and theatricality, our ability to flex. Like you, I own my body, my feelings, and my thoughts. What I say is who I am, and I oppose. Words may cover and uncover aren't worthier than anything else. They can be twisted and converted into dope and torture with whatsoever no waste. Same soundtrack, opposing forces, we all have and need our psychological rituals we use to resist even what is best in and for us. I suppose the reason being we don't know what best looks like, haven't gathered all the facts, and many times will never do. Uncertainty fuels resistance, and ignorance strengthens resistance. Resistance furthers resistance, fears our compass, and apathy does the rest. The way some still oppose gay marriage or women voting or covering mouth and noses during COVID-19 times. I'm rather glad I don't need to touch others when I don't know them, but then I remember I used to measure people by their handshake. We are constantly measuring our decisions and others. They define us. Who do I buy from? What do they eat? How do I look? Do you handle your trash? We are maybe some more distancing is healthy, but what about the poor, crowded, poisoned, weakened, crushed, and under? More than a few have died, and most will continue life, not as usual. And I oppose. To what? To a new normal ITY. I oppose the rerun. Let us exit. Let's exist in a point of no returning. Let's feel our full resistance and change it. If data is the stance and science is finally leading the advance, then I believe in vaccinating our minds. I oppose doubt. Resistance is a weapon like no other double-edged sword. Such a blade can cut through others, but also through our souls. Do not resist too much or too little. Foresee and measure what will happen either way. Be real. Before us, a line of people, binary, non-binary, willingly and aware, seldom silently, have assumed leadership and are showing us a way. Being aware and responsible, such is the job to think of all and oneself, pursuing a commonality and a promise. I said I would change. Worst of all, I promised myself and I have failed. So I'm not judging, just saying it's word versus fact. And I'm always on the watch out, like a watch bitch, because I'm female, but anyone can be or name themselves whichever way they want. I oppose imposition, but then again, we need rules and compromisos to resist, to look after a whole community together, survive and oppose fear, and inasmuch and until possible, avoid any death end. And that's it.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
that is nourishment. Oh my God. Yes,
That was
yes,
amazing.
yes, yes.
Thanks for
Pilar.
lighting us on fire.
Good.
You remind me so much of my friend Mimi. I don't know. She's also a poet. She was a comedian for many years. She toured around the U.S. But Mimi Gonzalez Farias. I
No.
don't suppose you know her. She lives in central Michigan in a walnut grove.
Maybe in a Zoom event.
Maybe. Yeah, that was wonderful.
Look at that photo.
I
I got
love
a
it.
nice screen grab of you. Oh my God. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's excellent.
I love it.
Yeah. Just snapped it in the moment. Yes.
Well done.
Thank you. So Pilar, you have another or you want to rest for a minute? Or
I think that's enough for now.
okay. Wow. I can't wait to have you back again. And do you have any books coming out, or what is your what is your what cycle are you on right now? Publishing, reading, writing?
Everything. I have some of my first like 5 of my books in Amazon as ebooks. I think one of them you can order printed. I have still one you can order with me. They're all in Spanish. There's one actually, sorry, there's one in, it's bilingual. It's still, it was with another publishing house, but there, it's an ebook. So if you go put my whole name, Pilar Rodriguez Aranda, and it's called One More Family. And I'm working on my ancestors as well in a different way. Working on directly on a biography. I'm not sure what's going to be, a book or a video, or on my great grandmother and my family in general. But let's see. Basically, if you, I have like my CD also. That this is a really fun one. So again, if you just contact me, we can talk. I can send it, to you directly. So.
Wow, how fun! And the CD has audio with
This one I did with
reading
a
with
really
music.
young. It's with music, like live.
Okay.
It was recorded live. I mean, it was not like with live audience, but basically it was not in a studio situation. So very young guys that we did a few performances together. And before I moved from the city where I was living, I said, guys, we need to record this. I remember your CD. I still have it, Tammy.
Oh,
Remember that one?
my gosh. I have no idea what's on it. Oh, from my Austin band?
Must be. I don't remember all that detail, but
Yeah,
must be.
Very, very rare. Very rare. Aquí está Ramsey Sprague, my good friend in the green shirt. He's the person who's worked most recently with me, accompanying me on guitar. Ramsey is an amazing musician and songwriter and
Nice.
poet también, and we've just had a beautiful collaborative connection. And Ramsey, I'm honoring you because it's not easy to find folks who, and this too, Pilar, you gotta mesh like artistically, maybe politically. To me, it's politically is so important, and they've got to, respect feminists, womanists, mujeres, and yeah, it's just a blessing when you can find somebody. And when they live around the corner from you, oh my God, what a
now you're
super
blessed.
Ramsey lived around the corner for me for years. What a
I found a
gift.
musician
And
here in Tijuana, and we worked with him. I even sang. We did translations of Bob Dylan songs into Spanish, and it was fun.
wow.
But he left, and I just haven't met, like you say, another musician, and all these other musicians are in Malinalco. So well, maybe it will happen again, hopefully in another way. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
The hardest thing that I find, because I've been thinking a lot about that, like how, when I see a musician and I like their work and I want to work with them, a veces it feels like when I get in the, like we check each other out, like we meet and then I'm reading and they're playing music. But sometimes and they're males, it's like they have un poco miedo, like they're a little bit afraid. I'm not sure what the fear is about. They're not there. It's like there's a discomfort or a fear. It feels more like fear, not discomfort. And I'm not sure where it comes from, but I when I notice it, I know I cannot work with them because they have fear. I don't know if it's a fear because they don't know what they're doing with a poet and they're afraid to fail, or they have fear because it's just new for them to be working with a female and not in a band where it's like drums, bass, guitar, singer. It's something so different. It's out of their capacity to allow those freedoms. And then I know I cannot work with them because they have fear, and I can't work with people who have fear because I can't teach them to let go of the fear. That's not my work to do. With Ramsey, no fear. You are who you are, and I respect you. And we may have disagreed or had artistic differences, but I don't even focus on that because it was so minimal. for us. Oh, and it's like that. It's magical when you can find those people that are not afraid to experiment.
Yeah, I find it.
Uh,
I've worked with a lot of musicians, and I agree. I think it's really a minority who are instantly comfortable working with spoken word, even if you're singing part of the time. I don't know what it is. It's different kinds of rhythms. I've occasionally worked with someone who has kind of forced me into a rhythm rather than being able to feed off each other,
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. It has something to do with the addiction to melody or something. I don't know.
It's easier with jazz people, no?
Yeah.
Because of that, I think. Yeah, with jazz.
I mean, I've known a couple of bands that were like poetry focused or word focused with
Or
tons
that
of
do both.
musicians, and they could just go.
Like Ramsey, you do both. So you understand.
Mhm.
So Tamitha Curiel aquí, also you have some. I know you have something to say about this because your own husband is a jazz musician, and they work together on their own project, Poeta con Músico, Esposa y Esposo. It's beautiful. Se llama Swerve.
Thanks.
Swerve is their project.
Sometimes I was thinking about when you're talking about fear, sometimes I'm afraid when I'm not performing without him. Like I sometimes use him, I feel like he's a crutch or a woobie or something. And so I'll be like, can you please come? And then, and he as a musician has always not liked it when I was, not liked it, but he was always like trying to be encouraging when I was inhibited, you know. Especially like when we play with other badass musicians. Like he's a badass, but I know his badassness. You know, I've been married almost 30 years, so but like, yeah. So it's a dance, and you got to be willing to like feel things, and it's just a thing, you know. And sometimes I can do it, and sometimes I can't. But yeah. Just depends on how confident I'm feeling, or if I have a relationship, I think with the person, if a previous relationship, probably there's a trust issues, I guess.
Tamitha, do you have anything you'd like to read for us? And then I want to ask Brian McCarthy as well, if you have something you'd like to share tonight. Okay, Brian says no. Tamitha, perhaps? ¿Tienes algo?
Well, okay. Yes, I wrote something today, but that we were, because I've been in the writer's workshop, but I was going to read this one. It's not, it's short. So it has to do with mental health and slums. And I think in the pandemic, it was when things were getting wonky and we're not connected to each other. And you can kind of turn on yourself and also want to blame other people, not remembering, you know, that there's magic to be had. I was just ruminating on some reading, and so anyways, it's called After Reading an Exegesis on John Berryman. 2 cold plums in my hands, bruised nutsacks, skin taut. I tear into them. Move the cold flesh around until it warms. Suck the pits I push to the roof of my mouth. Scrape the last bits of mush with my flimsy teeth. Churn, swallow, stare at the window. Stare out the window. And let the ghosts fuck themselves for a change. I had just read an essay about Berryman, and I didn't know a lot about him, and I was pissed off when I realized that this person who obviously really admired him kind of revealed how he had died, because I was struggling with things, and I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to have read it. I was just angry, and I wanted to remind myself that that was his ghost. You know, that it didn't have to be my ghost. You know, just happened to be bad timing. You know, that it had been read, and I happened to be eating 2 plums that my husband had given, you know, We hadn't bought plums in such a long time, and like we forgot they existed. And because I had, maybe not been trying to like blame him for certain things, I had resisted the plums. But plums are magical. I love plums. Why would I resist them? You know what I mean? And that's why they were kind of not as fresh as they could have been. So,
Which workshop did you write that for?
that one I actually wrote in the summer. Today I wrote something about snow ice cream. I don't know if you've ever made snow ice cream, but it was in one of the workshops today. It's not a poem though, so, and my handwriting might be it's only like maybe 2 pages, but.
Yeah, so I'll just say it again. We're in the middle of this, or we have one more day of the second annual National Latinx Writers Gathering. And Priscilla, Tamitha, myself have been involved with that. And it's, I have to be up tomorrow at 9:30 because I'm helping with a virtual open mic that starts at 10 a.m. hosted by somebody in Houston that I helped recruit. So Pilar, I'm going to highly, highly recommend to you that next year you present a workshop or algo así so they can pay you and you can present some of your work. We're going to bring you into this network. It's really beautiful. And you don't have to live in the US to be a presenter, because today there was a person from England. He's Argentinian, and he did a workshop on protest poetry and poetry of witness that was amazing. So yeah, and there it's, it can be bilingual, Spanish, English, whatever you prefer. So that's what we're in the middle, almost the end of. I hate to say that because it's been so wonderful. And let's give one more round of applause for Pilar. I don't know that we did that properly for Pilar. That was great. Wonderful work.
Bravo.
Resistance is a form of nourishment. Yes, I'll remember that when I'm ready for dessert, that I make sure that resistance should always be on the menu, of course. Resistance and disruption, disruptive behaviors. People who are disruptive sometimes are doing it for the right reasons.
Disruptive
Ramsey,
descent.
Ramsey, do you have another piece? Follow up?
Yeah, I'm split right now. I'm feeling it's past my bedtime because I'm a very routine oriented person at this point in the pandemic. But so I'm gonna opt for not reading the longer poem, but I found this one because I was thinking, it just dawned on me, I've totally forgot about it, but it's one that I wrote, prompted by Tammy when she invited me to participate in the project called By Any Stretch. So yeah, this is the poem that is that I wrote for that. It's called The Sweet Ninth. Disorientation, dizziness, pain, these had conquered my liberty. A poor habit's nasty revenge kept me from my sweets. Literally, sweets were killing me, like they have killed and are killing so many of my people. So I practiced self-control. For 4.5 years, I ate no refined sugars, white flours, pastas, or starchy potatoes. And I was already eating a strictly plant-based diet. The commitment was open-ended because I wanted a life with as little suffering as possible. 4.5 years later, in celebratory glee and deep gratitude to my body's lust for life, eating the one item I actually craved in my almost decade of veganism, I wanted the epic intensity of greatness of this grape-flavored vegan donut and its sweet taste of freedom to impossibly seep through me for others to taste in reward for all the hard work that we all put in just surviving ourselves. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I remember that piece. It's a survivor piece. Oh my gosh.
That was a,
Sometimes you would have plates of spaghetti and then you'd have a horrible headache afterward. It was excruciating for you. I
and
remember
talk about
that.
moving. You made a beautiful physical performance out of that piece when you did that. I really liked seeing you embody it.
Thank you.
We
It's
almost
about-
got naked. I was afraid he was gonna take off that whole onesie, that suit. I'm like, oh my God, he's unzipping it. He's pulling. Oh no, Ramsey. Oh my God.
They're never going to let us back in the museum.
Ramsey, was that a diabetic condition or something else? If I may ask.
Hyperinsulinemia.
Wow.
So my body was producing too much insulin for the amount of sugar, carbs, glucose in my blood. So I would eat. It was like I could be completely full, and it was like I ate nothing. I had no energy because my body would spend it all, and I'd like have like hyper. It was intense, but I overcame it.
That's amazing. Yeah, bravo.
Thank you, Ramsey. Well, I'm going to read 3 more pieces, 2 short, and then 1 kind of a prose closing piece, and then I'll be finished reading for the evening. Thank you for indulging me. Pilar, I've been hosting this for 12 months in a row. This month, October, is the 12th month. And for the first time, I decided I will be the featured poet because I don't read very much. I host and I lift up others, and other people get to be, spotlit. And lately, because I've been hurting, really hurting physically, I thought I'm going to do something that I enjoy for myself, and I hope that that's okay with y'all. This one is about my niece's experience as a tween, something that happened to her. It's titled "Mom Knew I Was a Vegetarian," or vegetarian. Mom knew I was vegetarian. A betrayal from the other room looms on the tray, and you are asked to swallow something you would never care to taste, and your throat feels clogged with the pain and embarrassment of a decision forced upon you. But the bitterness lingering now in your heart will I'm going to read the whole poem over. Mom knew I was vegetarian. A betrayal from the other room looms on the tray, and you are asked to swallow something you would never care to taste, and your throat feels clogged with the pain and embarrassment of a decision forced upon you. But the bitterness lingering now in your heart will take much longer to digest, because breaking bread together fatefully changed a full course meal into the rotten bite of trust breaking apart.
Ow.
They were at a party together, my niece and her mother said, "Have a bite of this." And my niece asked, "What is it?" And her mom said, "It's good, taste it." And then later found out it was lamb. She was very upset, disappointed, and felt betrayed. It's a failure of the poem if I have to explain the whole poem to y'all. So I think that poem it might be a
Yeah.
failure.
You didn't have to. That
Yeah,
hurt.
I got it.
It hurt.
Okay. It hurt.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, and Brian, you're a vegetarian, so I think you could relate. This second poem is very old, from the 90s. It's Hunger poem. I've consumed the flames of every angry computer message, and I'm still happy. I've eaten the games off every afternoon television set, and I'm still dumb. I've swallowed the footprints of every student who's walked across this campus, and I haven't gotten anywhere. I haven't moved a bit because I hunger. I still hunger. I've choked on the bus fare of every poor person whose stomachs grumbled loudly in the next row on the number 18 bus. I've feasted on the copy machines where I thought I used to could make more food stamps for mama. I've engorged on the sweat of working class microwave meals at the Circle K. And I know I've scarfed down a mile-long page of begging words you don't want to hear on the street corners. Please pass the bread. Dame de comer. I've lunched on the memory of pre-pubescent black boys doing modern dance for a bag of Cheetos. Swallowed pride. I've snacked on the calories of energy she sleeps off on the Congress Avenue bus benches, and that's a lot of calories because I see her there almost every night. And I'm still hungry. I'm starving. I'm absolutely famished. Please pass the bread. Dame de comer. Can you spare some social change?
Wow, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
That one was on Summer Baby.
Yeah. I my band and I used to perform that one with music. And this last one is very fun. It's, of course, as most of my work, based on a real personal experience. I mean, it happened to me. And it's more of a prose piece. So let's see how it goes, because I have multiple versions. I don't know what version I opened here today. And Ramsey, I looked for unattractive pie, and it did not pop up easily. Sorry, I'll have to summon that one for another time. Apologies in advance. Okay, here it goes. Sandia slices. Slices of watermelon. Sandia slices. I'm a modern day hunter-gatherer, says my coworker Matt. What does he know? He uses a spy cam that's triggered with a motion sensor to snap day and night photos of the critters rambling around his family's lake house in Possum Kingdom. I don't trap animals in digital files by snapping photos of them with triggered cameras. I merely pick up food. The first time, at least here in Fort Worth, since I've moved back here, and that was 1999 after my trip to Nepal, was on Henderson Street across from the Firestone Apartments. I was zooming in on my bike to the bus stop bench on the right when my early dawn eyes spotted a luscious sight, and mind you, it seemed like a stop-motion snapshot. The red, ripe flesh of a neatly broken watermelon was lying serenely and seductively, as if squirts of juice were riveted in air like the plop of white milk that's caught on film mid-splatter. You stare at it fascinated with the stillness of perfection. That's what the watermelon was for me at 6 a.m., with no cars passing at the moment, and the moment seems 20 seconds, 20 minutes long. And it occurs to me once again that I am the person in the starring role in the epic movie of my life, just as you, yourselves, are the people in starring roles in the epic movies of your life. And this show only runs once on the big screen, and so better make it good, or at least Technicolor special for the retelling and closed captioned rerun syndication. So I look both ways, because you can always afford to be daring, but never stupid. Before I run to the middle of the street, feeling like a Jode family member seeing food for the first in a long time. And I can imagine my shoulders all up like this, and my arms outspread like this, and my face all, well, heck yeah, like this. Before I swoop down, as a wolf would, as a stray cat might, and birds most certainly definitely would, to snatch up the largest segment that had landed right side up, clean as a whistle, screaming to be devoured. And it was ice chilled, just off the truck, the back of the truck. I have no shyness when it comes to making a life milestone moment. I have no need to wait for milestones to come to me. I chase them down. The writer's way, the Neil Cassidy touchdown play, the you only live once YOLO mandate and mantra too. So I'm smacking watermelon on the side of 7th Street and smiling at the heavens, for food has fallen upon my path. And it comes from the ground anyway, so why not enjoy the chance to really pull it up from the earth, to lift it to your open mouth and declare your breakfast served from the earth. And the speeding delivery truck that took that dip or bump too hard and sent Hail Mary passes flying in the form of sandia, watermelon, sailing, succulent, sweet sunrise slices, I thank you.
Wow.
I can see you going long for that pass.
Oh my God, and the watermelon store is closed right now.
You have a watermelon store in Oakland? Oh my gosh.
No, you know,
You
I
have
know where
us
to get
craving
some.
watermelons,
You know where to get
Tammy. We all want
If-
watermelon now.
Yeah.
I know
I
in
mean,
October.
I'm
What was
tired
I
of the
thinking?
popcorn.
Oh, and my
Yeah.
nuts are almost empty. What? I have no food. I feel great. I hardly remember that I was hit by a car 3 hours ago. And I'm laughing and living to tell it. But you know, that actually happened. And to be in that moment as a poet, to just feel like so enthralled by the luck of it. I mean, that truck took the dip so hard that it was delivering watermelons. They all like popped up, they bounced, but then a couple of them bounced off of the back of the truck onto the street mere yards from me. And I'm like, oh my God, breakfast. And like, I don't care if it's on the street because it was the way it split open, that ripe meat, the red flesh of the water. It's like, oh my God. And I'm like, this is just too cool. I feel like a member of the Little Rascals TV show, just in the moment, enjoying life. And there ain't no shame in it. And, and then I scooped a few pieces that I had some time to pick up, and I put them on the bench in case another human came by in the next 10 or 30 minutes, and for the birds. So, so they wouldn't have to worry about cars hitting them. And you just feel like you lived a whole lifetime in 30 seconds, and it makes your day. And then, you might write about it or not, but it just sails you. This is the wind. It's the wind in your sails. These are the things that keep us moving, keep us buoyant and joyful. I got hit by a car today, y'all. And, it's like, I mean, this just helps us transcend the gloom and the doom and, the sad stuff. Thank you for listening, because I don't think I've ever read that one out loud.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was magic. Thank you for sharing it.
And who cares if it's prose? It's beautiful.
Thanks for listening. Thank you. That have really helped
you,
me
Tammy.
feel much better. Thank you so much.
Watermelon is another thing that I can't stop eating if I have it in my kitchen. I will just eat it until I'm so sick on my stomach. I'll just keep eating it and eating it and eating it. It's like,
Yeah.
Frijoles, sandía,
Just like-
frijoles, sandía, frijoles, sandía, frijoles, sandía. Yeah.
Oh, and
when you
rice.
talked
I
about
don't
it-
like rice. I love to eat rice. I mean, beans and rice together.
Yeah, I have some jasmine rice, which I'll probably cook some in a minute because I'm still hungry. But yeah, I mean, indulge the desires. We only live once, and we need to stay well. And holding back and retracting, what we feel an instinct towards, I think only hurts us. So I'm learning that, as I get older, también, to not hold back so much.
Do you notice, I'm just going to ask you just one other question about the watermelon. Do you notice that when watermelon hasn't been sliced, it is just broken open, that the texture feels different when you eat it? That it has I don't know. I've just like noticed when it's accidentally been like broken open, it retains like some kind of like, it's velvetier or something if you haven't sliced through it. It's just something I noticed. Maybe it was just a better watermelon. I don't know, but
I think I know what you mean by that. I think I know that from a memory in my mouth when I ate it. Yes, it didn't feel jagged and rigid. It felt like pulpy and open and what's another word that doesn't sound like I'm trying to talk about sex organs. But
I know I said velvety, so that didn't help. But
You actually are talking about sex organs. by
Yeah,
the
maybe
way.
I am.
The watermelon
It
is.
felt so
Yeah,
felt so
literally.
receptive, felt so receptive and open to my mouth, you know, what,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's why we love eating. It's like you know, it's visceral, it's physical, it's you know, we're meeting a bodily need, you know, physical need. But yeah, it's if it didn't feel good, we wouldn't do it more than 3 times a day, right? As many of us do. I'm a snacker. I snack or eat small meals multiple times a day. And I just, in case you haven't heard of this beer, I just want to share the name of it.
Mm, no
It's out of
conozco.
Colorado, El
Is,
Chingon.
is it good?
It's very good. It's very good. Very good for my arm. Thank you, everyone. This has been a
Take care,
delight.
Tammy. I'm all worried because I fell about 2 weeks ago. I was in Mexico City and I was just walking, and then my leg, you know, I fell but I heard I, I stopped with my hand, but what I heard was my elbow. Like hours later, it was unbearable. And I didn't break anything, but it still was like, like I couldn't
You
believe
might,
that. Like a few hours later, how bad and how much it hurts. I'm a bit worried about you, so please do take care. Take
yeah.
a warm bath or something. I don't know. Just be on the
Yes,
lookout.
you're right. Because I'm noticing that one of my feet feels a little clenched in the toe area, and then the side of my thigh, which is
Yeah.
very, you know, I have a lot of flesh in my thigh, so it'll be bruised, but I think I'll
Yeah.
be okay. I'm already dealing with the muscle gel and the heating pad and the ice pack, so I'm
Okay.
already practicing the protocols. And a good friend, just delivered some Aleve, which is out on the porch. Thank you, Pilar. Thank you. I'm sorry you fell, and
Yeah.
Oh, but
you
that was
were able to see me.
You know, the
I
one I fell once and hit my hand like that, and it fractured my elbow. It was a pretty hard fall. I went over a bicycle over the handlebars on my bike, but
uh,
there's a shock
Oh, so
wave.
that's what happened. Well,
Well, you might not have
I don't
broken
think I
it.
broke it because I'm here and it's not
there you
hurting
are.
anymore,
Yeah.
but it was
No,
bad.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
No.
amazing. The whole bone will like go boom, and then it'll hurt up here. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a bad design. You know, I'm
Yeah,
first
sometimes
on the
I think it's
list for
better
the.
just to let yourself fall, right? We just like so nothing else is
Pilar, I
because I
just
broke.
had one question I want to ask you that I was going to ask earlier. Do you travel inside Mexico to do readings and festivals? Are you doing that these days, or are you just staying in Tijuana and you know, not traveling ahorita?
No,
But
no,
you
there are
said you
no
were in
events.
Mexico City.
No, I was just in Mexico City because of my mother turned 80, so I went to
Oh,
celebrate her. But no, they're just starting this month, next month, the physical present events. Most of them are still online. For me, it's
okay.
been beneficial in a way. I mean, it's terrible to say it, but being in Tijuana has allowed me to be now in events in Mexico City, which, um, it's kind of
Mhm.
those things, now I'm here with you guys in Texas. So before this, even though we had the technology, we were not using it. And so maybe we'll be able to get back to something that has both because it's great. I mean, sometimes we cannot travel for many, many reasons, and it's still nice to be able to share and listen.
Yeah,
So
I think we'll continue to have Zoom things, and that's why really was excited, Tammy, that you said you'd read at my thing next month, because I'll have a reader from different parts of the U.S. You know, I'll have one from Seattle and Chicago, New York, and yourself in Los Angeles, and myself, and you can do that before, and that's what I wanted to do with that reading, so. That's all, except it's also going to be so good that people are their socks will be off. And, I'm going to recommend that people put rubber bands around their socks. Never mind. Sorry.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
So you don't
So
get
we're
your
gonna blow
socks
their
knocked
socks
off.
off. Yeah.
I once was
Oh.
emceeing one and I loved this poet and I said, you have to be really careful because she'll knock your socks off. And then I pulled up my pants and I had put rubber bands on my socks and then of course everyone was distracted, but
Okay.
it was meant in love. Yeah. I'm going to
I
shut
don't
up
know.
now.
That feels like a very European thing. Like if you're excited, your socks fall off. I think other peoples from other continents would have other things happen to them other than socks falling off.
I hope so.
What you I mean, I don't care if my socks fall off. I don't wear socks that often.
Hey, y'all, I need
Hi,
to.
Thank you all. This has been a joy.
Yeah.
I love that you were here, and Pilar, I'm so glad you got to meet some of these other poems and poets, and they got to hear you.
Thank you.
Priscilla and Timothy, as always, I always enjoy your company, and so glad you're here for the ride tonight. Brian and Richard and Ramsey, thank you for being here from the get-go. Yeah, I feel the love. Thank you. Have a great night and keep eating. Keep
Yeah, Tammy,
nourishing.
thank you
Yeah.
for doing this for the past year.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's going strong.
It's
My
thrilling.
pleasure.
I was glad to see
My
everybody.
Love you, Tammy. Good night, everybody.
Love you.
Yeah.
Bye, Ramsey.
Sending
Bye.
hugs.
Love
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
Good night.
God.
Sleep well.